So for ex-Twihards or people out there looking for a good vampire book, I got a couple to recommend. If you like cheesy romance novels of a teenage girl in high school dating a vampire, I suggest The Vampire Diaries by L.J. Smith. It's an older series from the early 90s, and if you read it, or for those who did, you'll notice how bizarrely similar it is to Twilight, but much better in comparison. If you want something along the same lines, but much more adult and more action than romance, then I suggest the Stackhouse series by Charlene Harrison. It also goes by the Southern Vampire series. I haven't read either, but I have watched the shows, and I could tell you that both are much better than Twilight. Though personally, True Blood, aka Sookie Stackhouse series, is much better than both Vampire Diaries and Twilight combined. Um, in my collection, I have a couple that I would recommend if you want something suitable for children. I've just started reading Vampirates by Justin Somper, sorry. Anyways, um, it's about twins that get separated at sea, one kidnapped by vampire pirates, and the other by just pirates. There's my all-time favorite vampire book ever. I just started reading it a couple months ago, and it's Cirque du Freak, or the Darren Shan saga. The movie is coming out October 23rd, so if you'd rather see that before reading, you can, but I have to say that the movie changed a lot about the series. If you want something poetic and somewhat romantic, but with the traditional seductive vampire thing going on, you should read The Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice. It's a classic, and all the books are wonderful. This one has 3: Interview with Vampire, The Vampire Lestat, and Queen of the Damned. But there's also a couple of other ones. I think one of them is The Vampire Armand, and a couple of other ones that I can't remember. These books should be only read by people who are mature and aren't looking for a wet fantasy when they read it. Lovers of literature should read this. Basically, because it gets really descriptive, and even when I read Interview with the Vampire when I was like 15, it took me a long time to truly understand it. But now that I do, it's so good. And then now if you're older and want something more complicated, more adventurous, something that keeps you on your toes and figure out the mysteries of a book and the story, you should read The Historian by Elizabeth Kostova. It's a very long book, one of the longest reads I've ever had. I only recommend this to patient people. This isn't a romance novel, so I doubt any Twihards would enjoy it, and neither would people that never read a vampire novel in their life. So if you have the patience to read this, I recommend it. And if you are a much older reader of vampires, I recommend this book, unless you have read it already. So that's about it. I have about vampires. On a side note, I have a little theory about why so many people like the vampire books of Twilight. And most of the people that read Twilight, I bet that sorry about that. I think my sister's gonna walk in on me. Anyways, my theory is that most readers of Twilight, it's either their first book that they ever read or the first vampire book they ever read. So therefore, that's why things like sparkles don't even bother them. So if Twilight is the first vampire book, let alone a book you ever read, I suggest you read more, because there's so many books that are just better than Twilight by far, by like 5,000 miles. So yeah.